This film has one of the most screwed up family Thanksgiving scenes. Ethan Mao, released in 2004, follows a young gay man named Ethan, who, after his father discovers that he's gay, gets kicked out of the house. But the story gets even more upsetting when Ethan and his friend devise a plan to break back into his family home. And this all takes place on Thanksgiving. And it results in a very awkward Thanksgiving dinner that happens. I guess this is a Thanksgiving movie in a effed up kind of way. Now, what makes a bad movie in your mind? Because for me, if a movie has a lot of great production value and A-list stars, but you regret watching it, to me, that's a bad movie. And this movie doesn't necessarily have all the bells and whistles and things you expect in traditionally good filmmaking, but I think it was worth watching. If you're an open-minded movie watcher and you're okay with that low-budget aesthetic, then you might also have a good time here. Now, I will be talking about this film with a little bit of spoilers. I don't talk about major plot points, but I will be breaking down certain scenes. So if that bothers you, go watch the film and come back. But if you don't care, I will not be revealing major things like the ending. That's not something I usually do. Now, this film drops you into the story very quickly. There's a lot of great, snappy, quick editing with voiceover, and so if you're kind of put off by the aesthetic right away, it doesn't really give you a time to turn it off. You're in it already. And you can tell that some great filmmaking that's going on here just right from the beginning. It doesn't feel like it's totally low budget in the sense that there's no real vision behind the film. And the film coming out in 2004 has that 2000's aesthetic, so there's like those flip phones and the clothes that they're wearing. It has that. It's crazy to think that that's vintage now and that was sort of a look, because at the time, you know, that wasn't a look, but now you can see the way that certain wardrobe and technology that it's dated, given what we have access to today. Now, the main character is Ethan, and he lives with his birth father and brother, and they live together with their stepmother and her son. And so there's already a strange kind of disjointed family tension that's going on. The inciting incident, the thing that kind of sets the story in motion, is the stepmom discovers a gay magazine in his room, and this sets the father off, who finds out, and he just gets very angry and upset and kicks him out of the house. Now, I know there are people in real life that act this way, and it's just so disheartening to see that a father could do this to their son or daughter just because they discovered about their orientation, and really upsetting. But it does come off kind of melodramatic here, and it almost feels a bit like a caricature because he doesn't really have any bargaining he does with his son. He just immediately goes to 0 to 210 and just kicks him out of the house, which, you know, is not necessarily the most realistic way things sometimes go out, but, you know, unfortunately I'm sure there are certain people who have acted this way. But this scene, even though it has these grand overtones, still really did affect me. Just how somebody could do this. He just has this so much hatred just for this thing that he finds out about his son. And this sends Ethan out on the street, where he becomes a street hustler, and there he meets a friend named Remigo. And they devise a plan to break back into this home to get some possessions that he wants. And of course, there is a gun introduced, and when a gun is introduced, if you follow traditional storytelling, it's very rare that a gun is introduced in a story and it just completely goes away. You know it's probably going to come back. The film has a strange kind of thing technically, like a lot of the scenes outside are shot on video, and then a lot of the stuff that happens in the main house is shot on film. I'm not sure if this was an intentional technical choice or it's just because of budget constraints, but there is this weird change in quality between different types of scenes. Now, you would think from what I said that the main villain in this is the father, and while that's partly true, I think, in my opinion, it's the stepmother. And this character is almost more evil than the father, because the father may have hatred toward his son, but the stepmother is indifferent, and I think indifference is way worse because she only cares about her own feelings, and in particular, she only cares about her own birth son, who has this strange relationship where it's kind of like a trophy son or trophy daughter, where they're living vicariously through their offspring's success. It results in a lot of tension between her and Ethan. And she has some very ridiculous scenes, in particularly a line that really stood out to me that I know some people might find offensive, but I found to be really hilarious how over the top it is.
I hope you two get to die.
This movie is working in that sort of over-the-top melodramatic way. There's these very ridiculous overtones. It does have a sincerity to it all. Like, you do feel like there's good intentions behind the emotional weight of what they are trying to convey. There's a point in the movie that the whole movie for me shifted, and it made me want to make a video about it, because I don't want to give anything away, but things get kind of into the metaphysical kind of interpretation land sort of thing. At least I felt that. And in a way, it shifted the way that the film was being presented in a different light. And I'm trying to be coy about not exactly talking about what happens, but the film gives you a reason to maybe readjust and figure out why things are so strange and unrealistic. And I thought that was really interesting, and it made the main character's plight even deeper for me. The film has you believe that it's about this father-son relationship, which it is, but I think after this kind of threshold happens, it kind of readjusts in a way that makes you feel like it's really about Ethan and him reconciling this terrible situation that he's in. I'm sorry if I'm being really vague about it, but I'm trying not to give away the major plot. But what's most important about a movie is that how it makes you feel. And by the end of this film, I felt like I had a really good, enjoyable experience. I'm not saying that this film is the most realistic portrayal of how things would actually play out. Yes, there's some kind of cringy type of scenes that happen that don't necessarily align with a traditional great film. But overall, I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I had a good time with this film, and you might too, but I wouldn't go into it expecting, some, big, hyper-realistic type of film. But if you go into it knowing that it's kind of campy, and it's kind of over the top, but there's a lot of heart to it, then you might also have a good time.